Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Hey everyone, so yesterday was my niece's birthday and we decided to celebrate by going to this burger joint just a few minutes away from my place. The place was cool and we snacked an outdoor table so my niece could play with her bubble blower machine. Life was good, or so we thought. Now right next to the burger joint was this dodgy car wash called Polo's Car Wash. It looked like the kind of place that could be run by a guy just trying to make a quick buck. Little did we know this car wash will become the stage for one heck of an entitled encounter. We got our burgers settled in and were enjoying the food when out of nowhere, this lady, let's call her Psycho B, comes charging at me. Excuse me? Yes? My husband and I have been waiting 20 minutes to get our car washed. And I care because… Don't be so rude. I'm a paying customer and would like service right now. Now keep in mind there was no fence around the outdoor seating. The Psycho Bee assumed I worked at the car wash because, I don't know, maybe she thought burger joints and car washes had a secret partnership. I calmly tried to clear things up. Ma'am, I don't work there. I'm sorry. That's when the Psycho went off the deep end. She grabbed my arm, dragged me over the table, and pushed me against the car. What? Clean my car now. My brother, being the hero he is, was on a phone calling the cops. Meanwhile, I am being manhandled by this Psycho Bee. Who do you think you are? I don't even work here. And then she threw a bucket of water at me. Seriously? What is this? I was beyond angry. What on earth? Wash the car. Just in the nick of time, a police car pulled up and two officers approached. The Psycho Bee, still thinking she's in the right place, innocent. What's going on here? My brother rushes over, seeing the bruises I got from the Psycho Bee's little assault, and the officers turn to Psycho Bee, ready to get the story. Ma'am, we got a call saying you assaulted this man. Is that true? No, I just wanted service. I explained everything and Psycho Bee didn't even deny it. She admitted to dragging me around but tried to justify it. I did it cause he was being a lazy witch and not working. I clarified to the officers that, surprise, surprise, I did not work at the car wash. The officers weren't buying the Psycho Bee's act. Ma'am, turn around and put your hands behind your back. What? Why? You're under arrest for assault. But Psycho Bee wasn't having it. She kicked one of the officers in the leg and tried to run. Unfortunately for her, she forgot that there were two officers, and the second one took her down. Officer 2 says, you're under arrest for assault and battery. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to consult an attorney. The officers went through the whole spiel as they cuffed her and took her away. My niece, being the little trooper she is, got to meet real police officers after they put the Psycho Bee in the car. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, we did press charges. Entitled people, man. They never fail to amaze. Okay, I was not there when this took place. When I was told, there were some disagreements on what happened. Nevertheless, we had a solid story. For the characters of this show, there is cousin, cousin's friend. He had several friends, but they were all chuckling or dying of laughter, so they didn't speak. The driver and 3 passengers. Okay, before we start, some background. My cousin is no wimp. For kids who like wrestling, reading this, he could take John Cena, a famous wrestler for those who don't know. This is a little background, but it sends us into the story. So my cousin, his little brother, still 19, now younger, when the story took place by 2 years, and my grandpa lived in a rich neighborhood. 6 mansions, 3 on each side. The old couple who lived there and the animal lover started complaining that the litter shows up in their yard. They live the closest to the street, the first house on each side. Cousin lives next to the animal lover in the middle. And that's when they noticed trash in their yard. Not as much, but some. My cousin was fed up and decided to wait out in a little grass patch by the street and wait. Sure enough, the next day, they showed up and threw trash from a popular fast food place on the ground. One threw a large soda. My cousin has crazy fast reflexes and he snagged the soda. They started to drive off when the cousin's friends started throwing trash. Cousin chucked the soda. Bullseye. The soda was half full, so it splattered all over the car, and due to the stickiness, they got covered in the trash cousin's friends were throwing. The driver and passenger 2 are girls, and the others are boys, so you know what voices to do. The driver says, "What the heck?" Cousin answers, "Sorry, I just got fed up by your trash. You know not to throw your kids, right?" The joke is he's calling them trash. Cousin's friends started giggling and laughing from here. The driver says, "We didn't do anything wrong. I am suing you for assault." "Ma'am, I can't let you throw trash here, or anywhere for that matter. Small kids live here, and my dogs do." "Those are your dogs?" "Yes, why?" "They scare passenger 3. Well, the dogs are a German Shepherd and Husky, but he calls it a wolf. They are very obedient and never leave the yard. And when they do, it's either to help people or play with the kids. And the not-so-rare exception of animal lover inviting them over for a treat, and a little doggy obstacle course and watching them on rare occasions. The old couple is now watching from their Porsche. And we later found out that the animal lover was watching from a window. So cousin says, "So, I don't care. This is my property, so I can own however many dogs." The driver performs to smack my cousin and scream, "You jerk! Don't you care about the community?" What happens next makes the driver and all of the passengers' mouths drop to the floor and go wide-eyed. Cousin's friends and the old couple are now dying of laughter. My cousin's holding his police badge and announces, "My name is X, leader of a SWAT team. And now feel free to get out of the car and put your hands behind your back." Cousin's friends were his teammates. Passenger 3, 2 didn't fight it, but passenger 1 got out of the car and started running. Cousin calls out for the dogs and says, "Get him." They chased after him in a flash. Cousin's friends, "I think we have all been wondering this. But how old are you guys?" Passenger 1 screams because one of the dogs just bit him, and they are now dragging him back to the cousin's friends. Passenger 3 finally broke into tears from pressure. "We're all 14 to 15. Driver says, "Shut up. Don't listen to him. I'm 16. She handed cousin her license, who was trying to pull her out of the car. Cousin says, "Do you want me to actually read this?" "Yes." She tried to keep going, but cousin was still pulling her out. Cousin's friends, "Whoa, man, just read it." Cousin, friend, and the rest of cousin's friends are looking at a man at least 30 whose driver's license got renewed in 2018. It was 2018, so it was up to date and everything else was good. Cousin finally got her out and in handcuffs, and they drove the Ford to the station, filling out the needed information. 3 months later, they are in court. It wasn't much of a trial, too much evidence, and even the driver's dad said something against. The punishments went as follows. Passenger 3 and 2 were charged with community service, nobody remembered how long, plus $1,500 fines each. Passenger 1 was charged with a $2,000 fine and 2 to 3 years depending on behavior in prison for resisting arrest. The driver had a $5,000 fine. And the best part, she had to go to prison for a couple of years for resisting arrest, littering, assault, assaulting an officer, and harassment. She got the harassment charge because passenger 3 said she and passenger 1 had harassed him and passenger 2 into littering. Passenger 2 and 1 confirmed this. Passenger 1 apologized and said the driver had harassed him into helping her. Passenger 2 backed this up with, "I thought I heard you two arguing." Passenger 1 did not get harassment added onto his sentence. Instead, the judge put his harassment on the driver. The judge said those punishments were final, and like he said, passenger 1's could change. The driver started screaming and begging her dad to help, but he was just doing that thing where you grab the bone between your eyes and shake your head. So 2 years later, cousin found that passenger 1, 2, and 3 working at the fancy market they have next to the houses, so they don't have to leave the neighborhood during Corona. They also put up a gate. The reason wasn't Corona, and I forgot because posts went up in 2019 before Corona existed. He asked how long passenger 1 had been out of jail. He answers, I actually had my sentence cut by 1.5 years for good behavior. They gave him some wine and bread for free for what happened. The driver is still in jail and hates it there so much because guess who works at the prison she got sent to? You guessed it, cousin and his friends who stopped by her cell while they patrol her cell block. She has started many fights, which all were dispatched as her being the aggressor. I just found this place through r/all and found that there were a bunch of seed thief stories. Figured mine fit in quite nicely. This happened 10 years ago. My wife and I had a destination wedding and we had a large group fly with us. So the airplane gave us a free upgrade to first class. We were given seats A and B of row 4, window and aisle for those not familiar with airline seating. C and D were in the middle of the plane with no windows, and E and F were aisle and window on the other side of the plane. When we boarded, there were a couple in our seats. We asked them to move so we could have our seats, and surprisingly, they outright refused. I didn't want to fight with them, nor was it my job, so I grabbed a flight attendant and explained the situation. She came over and confirmed that they were in row 1, seats C and D. She asked them to move and they refused. He told them that they didn't have a choice. They became very rude about it and still refused. Before it escalated any further, I offered to swap seats with them now that we knew where they were sitting. I had no problem with their seats either. These are free upgrades after all. The flight attendant and the couple agreed that we were officially swapping seats. Everyone was happy and the flight attendant made sure that we got a glass of champagne first. After about 5 minutes after all of this went down, another couple got on a plane. And I guess unsurprisingly, it turns out the airplane double-booked the seats we were originally assigned. The couple we swapped with was also part of a group package free upgrade. So the couple coming on took priority since they actually paid for their first class seats. After some more arguing, the couple we swapped with agreed to give up those seats. I was kind of shocked since first class was full at this point. Then, what shouldn't have been a surprise, the couple began moving their bags above our new seats in row 1. The flight attendant stopped them and pointed out that they had officially swapped seats with us. She told them there were seats available in coach. They began yelling and screaming and being all around nasty people. Eventually, the flight attendant got the captain who came out and told them their choice was to go to coach or get another flight. They reluctantly went to coach. The woman was bawling loudly the whole way. It seemed like everything was good for a couple of hours, then about 2 to 3 hours into the flight, an old guy comes into first class. I was asleep at this point. I was woken up by him grabbing me and trying to haul me out of my seat. I'm a big guy, and this was a guy much smaller and a lot more drunk than me, so it didn't take much to reject his attempt. Turns out he was the father of the woman who we swapped seats with. I got up just to make sure I was able to protect myself, and this stupid old man threw a punch. It was weak and barely grazed my arm, but that's not something you should do on a flight, especially. A guy who I assume was the air marshal grabbed him and dragged him out of first class. Things calmed down again for about 30 minutes before the woman came rushing into first class. She started yelling and trying to fight the flight attendant. The same guy walked, dragged her to the coach and returned. A few hours later, without any more incidents, the plane landed at our destination. We were asked to remain seated when the plane was parked. A small team of cops boarded the plane and removed the daughter and her father in handcuffs. Funny thing was that they were staying at the same hotel as them, and one of their guests told one of our guests that they were in jail for at least a couple of days. I'm 28 female and my oldest son is 3 years old. My partner, 32 male mom, came over a few weeks ago and when leaving asked my 3-year-old for a hug. He initially said no and walked away. He then came back unprompted and hugged her. She said, "Oh good, because I was going to be sad." With my partner's aunts and best friend's edits, I sent her this. We're teaching our 3-year-old that he's in control of his own body and self-defined boundaries regardless of how it makes someone feel. If he's trying to make someone upset on purpose, that's a different story. We don't want him to go against his boundaries to make someone feel better. I'm sure you just want to show he's important to you, but we'd appreciate it if you could show it in a different way. Future mother-in-law responded, "OP, I'd appreciate you not sending me these kind of messages. We have these conversations in person. Thank you." So I answered back, "I don't really see a difference, to be honest. I would have said the same thing in person. I didn't see this topic as one that needs to be discussed too much. If you have a response, I'm obviously open to hearing it, but it won't change the fact that saying things that could make my kids feel guilty and responsible for others' feelings will be accepted. Again, you can show that you care for the boys, but not in ways that make them feel bad." And she responds back with, "Because having adult conversations via text, I believe, is pretty cowardice. When you address me or any other adult via text, it's not really appropriate. So I will end this conversation with you. If you can't talk things over with me instead of telling me what not to do, then that in itself is a problem. So I'm done." I answer back, "Again, I would say the same words to you in person. Nothing cowardice about the method I chose to say these words. The reason I didn't see it made sense to do in person is because I'm essentially asking you a favor and it's your choice to acknowledge it or not. I wasn't looking for a debate about it, just asking that you please not make certain comments to my babies. I'm alright if she prefers me to discuss something like this in person, but why ignore my initial message? Seems like blame shifting / diverting to me." She then went to my partner and texted him. The message said, "So by now I'm sure OP told you she was messaging me. If you guys have something you need to say to me, just say it." They had a 30-minute phone call and my partner told me that she said she's already distanced herself from coming over and she'll distance herself more if she has to. It's not something she was doing intentionally. I never said it was intentional, just bringing her attention to this and potential repercussions. I chose to message her because I'm terrible at having deep / stressful conversation in person. I have ADHD, so can't process what I want to say and what other person is said, and formulate responses and so on. Also, this is a boundary, so not really up for discussion or debate. Either she chooses to stop or doesn't. So am I the jerk for asking this, or how I brought it up? And now with some comments on the post. Someone saying, "You are the jerk. I agree with the mother-in-law about having the conversation in person. What's funny is you texted her about respecting your boundary but couldn't do the same when she expressed that she would prefer to have this type of conversation in person. Also, you lied. You told her you would do the same thing in person, but would you really have? Later in your post, you claim you didn't want to do it in person because you're horrible at having deep / stressful conversation in person. It sounds like you're being a little cowardly. You don't like conflict, so you would rather text to address someone directly in person. You could have at least told her that and maybe things would have gone better and she understood your weakness, since her problem wasn't much of what the message contained, but how you addressed it." Another commenter goes with, "He came back and gave her a hug. She didn't say yes when he told her no, therefore she wasn't manipulating him but stating, 'I'd be sad.' If you didn't want to hug him, would he be expected to learn that voicing how that makes him feel is wrong? There will be kids at school who will or won't want to play with him, share a toy, eat lunch together and so on. It would be wrong to teach him in those times to attempt to emotionally manipulate them, but it's not wrong or manipulative to communicate how one's actions can make others feel. I'm prepared for the downvotes, but in this specific situation, you are the jerk." A third commenter adds, "I'm going to give you a lopsided everyone sucks with the scales tipped in your favor. I agree with you at every turn, but this was not the conversation to have via text. It comes across as passive-aggressive. I 1000% understand the whole in-person conversation thread thing, but words are only like 7% of our communication tools. Most of the rest is tone and body language, which does not come across in text. That said, mother-in-law is also wrong for saying because having adult conversation via text I believe is pretty cowardice. When you address me or any other adult via text, it's not really appropriate. So I will end this conversation with you if you can't talk things over with me. Instead of telling me what not to do, then that in itself is a problem. So I'm done. Well, your message was pretty well thought out and explained everything. There is no room for discussion."
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.